Chili, what did you make of John Cena's retirement match?
Oh man. Hey, listen, I did okay, so I have a lot of friends that are wrestling nuts like yourself, that have been following forever the Hogan era, the Stone Cold Steve Austin era, the Rock era,
Yeah,
the Cena era, so on. And we all know how we all know how this goes down, and John Cena is a product of
yeah.
the game. So,
You you go
we
down on
all
your
knew.
back, staring up at the
Yes.
arena
Yeah, yeah,
lights. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of him going out, tapping out, but it
Yeah,
is what it is. And the smile that he cracked, like I was okay with it. Like
I
after
was
kind of
too.
seeing, I was like, dang, dude, don't do this, but he did it, and I could appreciate that. But I didn't tear up or cry like during the Saturday night's main event, like a lot of my friends did, and a lot of my
I
people did.
did.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah,
I will tell you, just like Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera and some of those guys that I was so attached to with the Yankees, I teared up through like the tribute stuff that you would see during the
I know.
week.
I
Like
know.
that, like those tributes that Jeter got like during the week and Mariano got like during the week leading up to it. It prepared me. I think it prepared me. It hardened me a little bit for that moment. Like I knew what I was getting into. For seeing a dude that I sent it to you, the YouTube thing. Oh man.
Oh,
Dude, you even got Alexa Bliss with
I
with the
know.
little doll, doing the "You Can't
I
See Me"
love the
thing.
Brock when
Oh,
he said, "I see you." Uh,
oh
Chili,
man.
I didn't have a problem. I thought it was very poetic the way he went out. I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. Like all things wrestling, it's never what you build it up to in your head.
For sure.
I always think we have this mindset of how this live theater is supposed to go, and we get these ideas in our head, and it's never usually that. I thought it was fine. I enjoy the ride. It's kind of like there's certain universes, Chili, where I could live in all the time. I love Star Wars, Breaking Bad, like those
Damn, I
shows.
mean, I like Star Wars.
If you just kept making those shows, I don't care what story you told, just tell me a story. And so this past year with Cena, sure could have there could have been better moments, but like to me, I'd rather appreciate the story, appreciate kind of everything we grew up watching, and like there is just something there with John Cena, no matter how it ended, no matter what you thought of it, it was tough to say goodbye. I'll just say that. But I thought it was very fitting. That's how wrestlers go out. He got to choose his way to go out. It was a year celebration full of memorable moments, moments that made you react, they made you care. And at the end of the day, that's all professional wrestling does. And so that's all I could have asked for. It's fine. It's good.
I have some people that I've built relationships with in WWE, that are, close to the production side of things and stuff like that. That kind of gave me a little bit of insight, what to expect, what to prepare for, how this whole thing with Cena was going to go. And they were pretty spot on with most of it. They didn't give me any spoiler stuff because they know I'm on social media heavy with Twitter and
Yeah.
trying to break news and stuff.
I
So
know. Saw
um,
that.
but they did give me a lot of the insight, and like you said, man, the ending was gonna be super tough to live up to. How the whole thing end,
Yeah.
how the
How do you say
final
bye to
seconds,
Superman? Yeah, it's just
yeah,
it's
how the
impossible.
how the final how the finality, the final minute of that match went was going to be super tough to live up to for any wrestling fan, regardless of how long they've been in that situation, cheering. But I think the build up to it, the moment when Cena got to AA him through the announcing table, I thought that that was super dope. The
Where he was
intro
about to
when
tap
Cena,
it, then all of a sudden he raised his hands.
yeah,
You thought we had one more in him, but I get it.
him
I get it.
him stepping off the mat
The
to go,
top he
dap
went
up all his people.
he went up off the top rope too. I thought that was cool.
That was
Hit the
crazy,
leg drop.
vintage Cena, and hey, for the "You Can't See Me" guy, like, man, for 20 plus years, man, it's been amazing seeing him. I got to watch him at WrestleManias and stuff like that. I
Yeah, man.
actually low key, when he came out to do his thing, at the Make-A-Wish event, in Scottsdale at the Cold Stone, I got to ask him a couple questions, and he was super cool. We talked about hip hop music. We talked about why he would change the name of his finisher. We talked about a whole bunch of cool things, and I'll always be grateful for that
Yeah.
one moment in time for a guy that just doesn't have any moments. But speaking of you can't see me guys, and who we can see.
Hold up. We got to start the show. What's up, everybody? What's up, Arizona?
Oh
Welcome into
man.
another edition of Dropping Dives with Cam and Chili. Man, that was the longest cold open we've done yet for this show, man. We about to spend five. I
Kind
had to
of.
ask you. I had to ask you because I know you and me
No.
are both big time wrestling fans.
Hey,
Big time
listen,
wrestling
listen.
fans.
That's what my intent for the show always was. A little bit of lifestyle stuff, a little
Yeah,
bit of inside stuff. Who we are. Away from the high school sidelines, college football sidelines, away from the sports stuff. Who we are. I didn't know that you were like a Star Wars junkie like that, but fully
big time.
expect.
Big
Hey,
time
fully
Star Wars
expect that if
junkie.
there's like an episode 10 or whatever that comes out,
Yeah,
and me and you are like first in line to watch it on the red carpet and stuff, that we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna spend two, three,
100%.
four, 5 minutes talking about it.
Yeah,
So,
same Chili.
um,
So with that, obviously Marvel's coming out with some new Avenger movies too as well. Can't
oh,
wait
I'm
for the new
excited.
Avatar movie. Yeah, it's been a minute. Movies took a little dip during COVID, but before that, there's a theater right behind the station. And man, anytime a big movie came out, I'd get done with the show at 10:30, run across the street because
No, stop it.
you could catch the 10:45 showing. There'd be no line. So like
Oh,
while all
that's
these other
lit.
theaters in Chandler and Tempe, Scottsdale, they have lines for the midnight premiere. There would never be a line at this theater behind us. So it's my little secret. So next time a big
Okay.
movie comes out, that's where you'll catch me after the show.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of little secrets, Pete
Yeah.
Dam will
Who?
let out a little secret, and so we got a special guest,
Yeah, we do.
one of
Hold on,
my
but
favorite
before you
go-getters.
before you introduce him, tell me the story, Chili. What's happening?
So how, you want backstory or you
No,
want?
no, just what did Pete put out there so people at home know?
So Pete put out a tweet talking about one of our own, young bull by the name of Andrew Morgan. Super talented. I like to call him social media tech wizard. He can do so many cool things, and he's taken his talents from written media, where he started out at Arizona Varsity and stuff while he was in high school, into day-to-day operations stuff, recruiting, things like that, for U of A, where he finished college. And then, he jumped in and really got a quote unquote big boy job working at Idaho under one of my favorite coaches out there, Coach Ford, and helped land I believe that it is the number one recruiting class in FCS. FCS. And
Pretty crazy.
hey, absolutely insane. So shout out to my guy, super talented kid on the rise. I don't even know if he's able to drink yet legally, but my guy Andrew Morgan,
Look,
I
he's
love
already
this.
got the gear on. He's already
Hey,
got the gear on.
I love this kid to death, man. So Cam, easy with your questions. Let's not grill him or put him in a bad spot.
Man, no,
Um,
we're excited to have him. See, you always
hey,
make, why am I always the villain here, man?
no,
Just
hey,
see,
hold
we're gonna
hold
set. We
on.
just
No,
Andrew, we just got done talking wrestling, and so Chili and I are gonna settle this in a cage match, New Year's Eve in the parking lot of some Walmart here in the Valley. Okay,
There you go.
just so
hey,
you know, you ain't gonna
Hey,
make it out
Northwest,
alive.
hold on, Cam. Northwest Valley's own.
Oh, there we go.
Northwest Valley's own. Straight from, I'll let him go through some of that stuff, but my man's been drumline over there in high school, been covering high school football while in high school. And I talked about his digital prowess, man. Like he was making games matchups of the week on like Madden, college football, all that stuff while he was in high school. And me and him were having a lot of fun. Hey, Andrew, how are you doing, man? Are you officially moved? Because I see the logo on the
Yeah.
shirt. That's can't
No,
come up.
I'm in the building. So that's pretty cool. Moved in. What day was that? I guess yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday was yesterday Sunday.
Yeah, yesterday was
Yeah.
Sunday. It's
The last couple days, yeah, I don't know. I've lost track of time. But it's awesome to be back in the building and be back in Tucson. I
is
was
that
driving from down from Phoenix, because I flew. I like shipped all my stuff from Idaho and flew into Phoenix and just saw the family for a day or
First
two.
class. You flew
No,
first
not at
class.
all.
Yes.
Flew Frontier
Yeah.
actually. That's where
Yeah.
we're at. All right. Uh,
$58. 58. Now don't you dare check a bag, Andrew. They'll charge you
oh no,
$875.
I can't
And then if you want
check
to
it
talk
back.
to a guest agent, man, they'll charge you another $1,000 just to ask them a question. So you better be careful with that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
Andrew,
Andrew.
congratulations, man. Welcome back.
I
That's cool.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey, I got to know how long did it take you to hit a Nico's? Have you hit one yet, or are you about to? Like, I know that that Mexican food was calling you the
Yes.
second that you got back down
Yes.
in town. Because I know listen, love the Idaho. Shout out to Coach Ford and all that he did. But what he couldn't do is bring dope Mexican food to you. Andrew, how long did it take for you to come and hit up a breakfast burrito in your stomping grounds?
I ate at the little food truck that was across the street from where I used to live the first time last night. So that was like the first like real meal I had here. Um, I knew exactly where I was going uh, off rip. So
And
I don't think I can do that 2 nights in a row, but I'll figure something out tonight. I
and you
got
know and you know that Chili, he's walking with a proud step going to get that meal. Andrew, just for the people that don't know you,
Mhm.
introduce yourself. How old are you? Give me your job title.
Yeah. So I'm 21 years old. From Anthem, Arizona. Kind of a long story about how I got here, but really owe a lot to this man right here, Chili, for kind of giving me my start. I wanted to be a journalist at that point in time when I was in high school, and I thought that was gonna be my future. Um, I probably couldn't have been more wrong, and I'm so happy that I ended up down the path that I did. Um, Pretty cool to kind of go from covering Arizona high school sports to then being here as a student and working in recruiting. Took a short hiatus. Someone I was talking to in the building called it a sabbatical
I was about to say that. I
for a
knew
year.
I knew they would drop that line on you. Yeah,
And then just came right back home, and it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down. I love Coach Ford. I love Idaho. It was awesome there, and um, I owe a lot to T Ford for bringing me to Idaho. But he straight up, when I was talking to him about this opportunity, he straight up told me like, "Man, you got to go. You got to take it." Um, like he didn't even like try to, oh man,
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was like, "Nah, man, you should go." And I owe so much to him as well. I learned so much in the last year that um, I think when you're kind of thrown into the fire with limited resources and limited support around you, right? Like, I went from being a student here, and I mean, we got 10, 10 other students and five full-time staff members in recruiting to just me, and having a couple students, there that were a huge help to me. But, you kind of get thrown in the fire and have to learn, everything in recruiting is learned by doing. Like, it's really hard to, um, it is much harder to learn watching someone else work. And like got to do a lot in the 3 years that I was here prior, but um, this year at Idaho, like I completely changed my perspective on a lot of things. When you're actually, in it every single day in the fight, it just looks a little different at the FCS level.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, and right back here in Tucson, it's kind of weird, but it's pretty cool.
Chili, we're gonna have
Hey,
to get you the shirt that says credit to Chili, right? Is that
no,
are you gonna
Yeah.
require those now
no.
moving forward?
Hold on. I want to make something. I want to make something clear. When Ralph actually from Arizona Varsity
Yeah.
sent Andrew Morgan to me as an intern, I did not want a writing intern because it just wasn't for me. And Andrew would tell you himself like Chili is so like different. Like he doesn't do things by structure. But I knew that writing wasn't. I knew that journalism wasn't for Andrew. Andrew, what I do want to hear a little bit about is this, what you're doing is actually in your bloodline. Like this runs
Yeah.
through your blood. Give us some of that backstory, a little bit of the Andrew Morgan origin story of how, the recruiting director guy comes to be.
So, my dad has been a firefighter for like close to 20 years now. But he kind of had a second career, right? At the same time, he still is a firefighter, but was trying to carve out a career for himself in football. And in 20, that would have been what, 2017, 2018, he was at ASU as a volunteer. And I mean, I would have been 12 and 13 years old at that point. And I just saw dad chasing something, right? That was like so cool to me. I grew up going to this fire station all the time and being around him, and I want to be just like him. And there's countless photos of me at the fire station or in the truck or holding the hose or whatever, right? Like there's so many photos of that. And when I was like little, that's like what I wanted to do. I saw,
Sure.
you know,
For sure.
dad and was like, yeah, that is exactly what I want to do. And I think it was kind of the same thing when he was at ASU. It was like, I just want to be like him, right? I obviously look up to him, and uh, I was around the building a lot and just kind of hanging out. They called it the recruiting closet because it really was like this tiny office that they crammed like 8 people into, and I felt bad always because I'd like take a chair, and sit down, and you got all these people crowded in. Now you're adding this 12-year-old kid in the room. It's like no one want. So like I always felt bad, right? But I learned a lot just being around it and kind of what this could look like. And it's crazy because some of the guys on that staff are now on this staff here at Arizona. Danny Gonzalez was at ASU at the time. Bobby Wade was there. Like those are two guys that are now here, right? And
Yeah.
it's great. Bobby, I was talking to Coach Wade earlier. Like he's like, you're just my nephew. Like like at this point, like he's always looked out for me, and I really appreciate that. But going back what 7 years ago now,
Yep.
almost 8 years ago now, like um I was just running around, and I forget, gosh, the quarterback at the time was
Either Mike Bergovici or Taylor
Taylor
Kelly,
Kelly.
who was after
Manny Wilkins.
Manny Wilkins. So like
Okay.
I've got a picture with Manny Wilkins from those years, like, and
Dang.
so that was kind of like the start. That was like my first exposure to the football world, right? Like I always loved football, but definitely not had never seen it from that perspective. Um, and I was running around at practice trying to like, I was trying to pick off like signs and like anything I could, right? Like I was just around.
Sure, sure.
So it kind of evolved from there. And when I was in high school, that's when I was just trying to do anything I really could to find a way in, right? And be around the game. I never played, right? Last time I played football was, you know, like little flag, and intramurals when I was here as a student, like that was the only times I've ever actually played ball, right? And so it's a little different path for someone like me. Um, so I'd seen a Ralph Amsden tweet talking about interns, but it was just before COVID, when he tweeted that, and then COVID happened, and we were kind of like in contact, but things were really weird. There, might not be a season that year and all that, and that's when I was connected with Chile, and so that fall, that season didn't start till like October that year, but we started doing uh, like game of the week simulations on Madden because college football wasn't back yet. Like the college football game wasn't back, so it was like NFL teams, with like the right colors, but you couldn't change the name, and I'd put the rosters in the game, and we'd stream it every week. Um, and that was like the first kind of project that I really worked on for Arizona varsity. And that was pretty cool. Took me like way too long to put the roster. Like that was not looking back, that was not sustainable, right? Like
No, not at
that was
all.
not.
But we had time then, so you could we had
Well,
time.
that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
I was home, like online school. I think that year, like at a certain point, uh, they made our grades so that they could only go up. And so like after you like did enough work to get an A in the class, like it didn't matter anymore. Hey, it was like such a weird time, right? And so sitting around all day just making rosters on Madden that fall and going to games, masked up and all that. Like I don't know, that was such a crazy time, but that's really where it started.
How cool is
A
that?
little bit after that, had the opportunity to come here, and actually a crazy story about that too, real quick, is I went to so in 21. The first game of the Jed Fish era at Arizona. I was in this stadium as a guest behind the NAU bench. I thought I was
Wow.
going to NAU, and to
Oh,
work in recruiting, and like I was like at that point I was going to NAU. And Chili, I don't even know if you know this story. So that was like, I mean, that would have been fall of 21. Um, and I was going to graduate the following spring from high school. So went to the game, like I was behind the NAU bench. Shout out Josh Irvin, who's at San Jose State now. Um, and NAU upset Arizona. And that was like a crazy deal, right? Here I am sitting behind the bench cheering for NAU, you know? Again, thinking I'm gonna go to school in Flagstaff. And Josh, I will never forget Josh Irvin throwing. He was carrying this like binder the whole game and like throwing it up in the air after the game, and like papers are flying everywhere. And like that's the biggest win in program history. And I woke up the next day and walked into this building and met with Matt Doherty, who's now the DPP at UW. And so, like, day after the worst loss in program history, he's in like basketball shorts, like just going through it, right? That was the first game of the Jed Fish era, and ended up talking to him for like an hour and a half, and walked out and was like, "Yep, I'm coming here." And so that was a crazy like turn of events. But then 8 months or so later, I was on campus and rolling. It was it was crazy. Like kind of that time in my life was pretty cool. Um, but then like you show up here and it doesn't matter, right? Like now you're working every day trying to build this thing, and help any way I could. And I was like making coffee runs for coaches and all that. So um, it's pretty
now
cool.
you got people making coffee runs for you. You send
No,
them out
no,
to
no.
Starbucks and Dutch Bros and hey, I need the
Chili,
extra
that's
whipped cream and all
that
that.
We're moving
this
up. We got a coffee maker in the building now. We're
well
we're
just
moving up.
Andrew, just so you're clear,
Yeah.
man. Man, Chili, all right, listen, you got to go get him coffee now, okay, Chili? Just so we're clear, you got to go. If he
Yeah.
needs it in Tucson, get in your truck, drive to 2 hours, get my
Mhm.
man coffee. We are talking with Andrew Morgan, Arizona's new recruiting operations coordinator. If I read the tweet correctly, it includes maybe some scouting too as well. What are you exactly doing for U of A? How are you going to help the Wildcats, Andrew?
Yeah, kind of a little bit of everything. Um, that's I think the advantage for me, the advantage of being in Idaho, right, is like I had to do it all, and so I can continue to have a hand in a little bit of everything here. Um, a lot of it is, I mean, right now, like I spent today um, watching a bunch of like transfer portal tape, pre-portal evaluations on a couple key positions. And we have a really good system here, kind of send it up the pipeline,
Sure,
right?
sure, sure.
And a pretty good system for sorting through who might be entering the portal, who we know is going to enter the portal, all that sort of stuff.
See, Chili,
And
this is the fascinating part. This is what no one sees.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
This is
no,
the
you
this is
know,
the groundwork that gets players where they need to get to. It's really cool.
real quick, I think, this is going to solve a lot of issues in high school recruiting because so many high school athletes are like, oh, I'm going to tag the head coach of every major college football program
Mhm.
and they're going to see my stuff. That's not the way it works. The smart thing is you tag somebody like Andrew Morgan, follow him, AJ Morgan Football on Twitter, shameless plug. And then it is literally his job to slave away and watch all that huddle film, all that tape, and send it up just like he just said. But
the,
that's what the smart high school kids will do.
yeah,
Like,
yep.
just
And
saying.
if I was a high school kid, I would even go a step further and find the students who are working in this building, right? That are all trying to find the next gem, you know, and all trying to prove themselves, right? And so if you can find, I mean, we had a group when I first got here, we had a group that kind of formed really over that first year in 22 of like 10 guys that I mean, those are my best friends to this day, right? But like that was all we did. We sat in these rooms and watched high school tape all day, just trying to find a dude that we can, I was once a day I'd write a name and everything I knew about the kid on a sticky note and walk down this long hallway and go tell someone about him, right? And that was like every day. It was like, all right, here we go. Let's see if this one's a hit. And over time, you build that trust with position coaches and coordinators and all that they value your eye, right? If I was a high school kid, I would go find those dudes, right? Like out of that group of 10 guys, all of which are like my best friends now, um, like 7 now, I think have full-time jobs at Division I program,
Oh,
right?
Wow.
okay.
And so
Sheesh.
like that group was special, no doubt. Um, But those are the dudes that are really working every single day, all day. There's guys in every building that are going fully online classes because they want to make this thing happen, right? They want to go down this path as a career. So find those dudes. Those dudes will help you.
And
Those dudes are the ones that are watching by far the most high school film in the building.
and Andrew, just to follow up on that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you could put how many hours are you
Oh
watching? Like how
man.
many? Just if you had to maybe a day, a week, how many hours are you go
Um,
links?
When I was here the first time, I tried to average 100 a day. I tried. That was like my number to shoot for. And I was tracking all of that. I was tracking like, there wasn't a single kid that I didn't like actually write down an evaluation because I wanted to track who I hit and missed on.
Wow.
And so like I look back at that now and can learn from you know,
Yeah.
a couple of years
Records.
ago
Yeah,
and go,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I was right on this kid. I was wrong here.
Maybe
And
here's
I think that,
why, all the above.
right,
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And try to learn from it. I think that's really important for sure it's easy to say, oh, yeah, that kid's good. Or, oh, I knew that kid was going to be something. But it's a little different when, you're trying to put up 100 shots a day to find maybe one good one, right? And that was kind of the number I shot for pretty
And
consistently.
Chili, here I thought you and I watched a lot of football. Boy, was
Oh,
I boy, was I
hey,
wrong about that, man.
and Andrew will attest to this. I am constantly working, looking at
Mhm.
which players can play because I will hit Andrew up. And I want to make this clear. I will hit Andrew up. Andrew will always take my calls to talk about a football athlete, whatever. But he will not hit me up to tell me, oh, hey, I just got this cool job at U of A. I had to find out 200 missed texts and calls
Uh,
about my guy Andrew getting a tweet from Pete Thamel. And I was like, I'm hitting Andrew up after all these. And I'm like, hey, man, when you're not busy, can we talk?
he
It
listen,
happened
man.
so fast.
He had to move. Look, he had to write he had to accept the offer, man. He had to move across country. You know how hard it is to get from Idaho to Tucson, Arizona. Might as well travel
I
to.
so I did not interview for this position, but when I got here, I was immediately told, forget about that. You interviewed for 3 years,
Yeah,
which isn't really true because this staff hasn't been here for 3 years,
sure.
um,
But they knew. They
but
knew.
But they knew the work
that
They
that you
knew.
was
put
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
yeah, and I will always be grateful for this opportunity to come back. Like that's so cool. I walked in the building yesterday. I was like, this is crazy. Like this is so cool to be back here. So
Yeah, it's so cool, and
Hey,
you get to have an input on this team. I just think that's neat too as well. Go ahead,
mhm.
Chili.
Hey
Sorry.
Andrew, I'm just curious because now you're in this situation where you can look at the next young yous coming into the building. What are some of the things that you tell them? Like, do you tell them like, "Hey, man, do your thing here, bust your ass, and then find yourself a little Idaho type situation where you can really get your hands there"? Like, what do you tell them like about
it
how to get to where
depends.
you're at?
It depends. I mean, everybody's situation is going to be different. Um,
Okay.
I think my timing was definitely odd, because I graduated in May, but I had already left for Idaho in January. So I
Mhm.
finished my last semester online, you know, in Idaho. Um, Typically, you graduate and then kind of move on to whatever's next. Um, I think the biggest thing, like a lot of younger guys have been hitting me up the last couple days just because they see 21-year-old and all that. Um, and I hate the whole like, oh, just work hard and you'll be fine. You'll get somewhere. Because that, like, yes, that's somewhat true, but I don't know. It's that's just very cliche to me, and I think like in my eyes, there's everybody has a different perspective on like what working hard looks like, and what those limits are and all that. Um, it really is. It's show up every day and like be who you are. Like I think that's why. Um, I think that gives me an advantage in recruiting. Like I'm not a recruiter. Like I'm not some you know really good young recruiter that's like gonna go and sell the university, right? Like at the end of the day, I'm just who I am. I'm just me, and if you're a good fit for Arizona, then cool. If not, then that's okay. I'll help you get to somewhere that's a better fit, right? Like I'm not a salesman. I don't try to be, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm here. Is like I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm not trying to be more than just who I am, right? Um I think a lot of times that's hard for young guys that are trying to move up is just you know trying to, oh, I have to you know act like this or do this or whatever, and like I don't really care about any of that. Like I'm just gonna be me,
Yeah.
and that's really what I tell like some of the students that are in this building, or the students that I had at Idaho. Like just be yourself. Like I mean, I didn't play ball, right? Like I took a unique path here, and I don't think that should limit anybody,
Yeah.
from working in this thing.
Hey, Andrew, last question for me. I
Yeah.
gotta ask because I know that your time
Andrew, we
at
got about a
Idaho.
minute left, by the way.
Okay.
I know your time at Idaho. You spent some time on the headset, on the sidelines, kind of coaching in some coaching aspect a little bit. How much are you gonna miss that? And how much will that help you in doing your day-to-day job at U of A?
That was awesome. So I was in the tight end room every single day. Um, and at practice, I ran the scout team secondary. Like that's
Let's
just something
go. Get
at
him,
the
coach.
FCS level. Like, you kind of have to do a little bit of everything. And so that was super helpful, for just in my learning. Um, and then being on the headset sideline, right? Like, you know, yeah, I was signaling offensively, but I had this huge binder that I was carrying around all game. And I think I learned a lot about like game management, clock management, all that. Coach Ford would just kind of look to me on fourth down or, 2-minute situations or whatever. And I'm like flipping through all these pages trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. And that was cool. I learned a ton from that. And as the year went on, I got more used to that and just kind of knew exactly like what the answer was going to be. And I mean, by the end of the year, I rarely opened the book because you just have a good enough feel for what we're going to do. And so that was cool. That was definitely like a secondary role at Idaho that I still learned a ton from.
He is Arizona's new recruiting operations coordinator, Andrew Morgan, a Valley boy, started doing what we all do on the sidelines on Friday nights. And now look at him now out there at U of A. Andrew, before we let you go, where can people find you? If they want to reach out to you, they want to send you some tweets, want to send you some players, where can they find you?
Yeah, Twitter at AJ Morgan FB. If you go on there, there's a retweet though from all the student workers here.
There we go.
Go follow those dudes.
See?
Those dudes are just as helpful for us in this program. So go send your tape to those dudes too. Send it to me, but
Yeah,
send it to those dudes too.
there we go. Andrew, we appreciate the time. Chili, anything out the door?
Hey man,
This has been
Andrew's
awesome,
gonna
man. This is so cool.
Andrew's gonna outwork 98% of the people out there. I promise that. There's a 2% people that I know are absolute robots, but Andrew Morgan is a good human, and I love him to death. Andrew, congratulations, even if it's on the other side.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Guys, thank you. Chili, see you next week. Andrew, appreciate the time, buddy. Take care.